You're listening to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast, your podcast for escaping life's monotony, indulging in your wildest travel fantasies, and discovering the constant beauty of this ever-changing world.
On today's episode, Tyler and Grace Wittkofsky join us to tell us about life in an RV and why traveling is so important for your mental health.
Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We are your navigators, Allison
and Regan. And here we go with another Travel Tuesday today. We have some really cool guests for you, and I'm really excited for you to hear from them. But of course, before we get started, just a quick plug for our website, which you can find at www.wanderlustingwives.com. And there you'll be able to find easy links to all of our episodes, including this one. But you're already listening to it, so you might not need a link. But if you really like it and you want to share it with someone, you can find the link on our website. And you can also learn more about us and get in touch with us. If you want to be a guest on Travel Tuesday, we would welcome it. We would love it. And we'd love to meet you. So feel free to reach out to us via our website. And Allie, how else can people get in touch with us and follow along?
My usual plug for social media. We are very active on Instagram, so check us out at Instagram. That's at Wanderlusting Wives. Facebook is Wanderlusting Wives Podcast. Twitter at Wanderlust Wives. And then we also have an email, so feel free to leave us any kind of feedback, or if you just want to get in touch with us, we would love to hear from you. Our email is wanderlustingwives@gmail.com, and make sure you give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, those 5-star reviews really help us out. So thank you for everyone for following along with us to this point, and we'll get started on today's conversation. So today we have a few special guests. Like I said, Grace and Tyler Wittkofsky are joining us, and they have some really cool stories. There's some intersection of mental health and traveling, just like some cool topics that we're going to get into, traveling in an RV, like some topics that we haven't quite had on our podcast before. So Tyler and Grace, welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives. Do you want to kick us off by starting to tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, I will. I'll start us off. My name is Tyler Wittkofsky. I am a multi-genre author, award-winning marketing communications professional, travel and mental health blogger. I also have a podcast and own 2 businesses along with my wife, Grace. We live in an RV now. We have been traveling full-time since, let's see, April of 2023. So we've been full time and really enjoying it. We've been discovering life on the road, discovering new things about each other. But yeah, I'll let Gracie talk a little bit about herself now.
I'm not as interesting as Tyler. Um,
Oh,
he
stop.
he does he handles a lot of things. I'm kind of in the background. I'm just kind of his support system for a lot of those things. I mean, we both do work full time, both work fully remote, which I love. And he's right. We have learned a lot about each other since starting this life on the road, and it's been a lot of ups, but definitely some downs, which we can definitely talk about. But so far, we are loving it.
Amazing.
That's awesome. We're really excited to learn more about how mental health has impacted your traveling. So I want to start us off with that topic and how maybe you decided to travel. Has mental health been a result of traveling? How has it become intertwined in your lives?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed bipolar disorder, anxiety, and depression back in 2015. Actually, a couple of months before I met Gracie. And once I started getting on finding my right regimen of medicine, because whenever you first are diagnosed with a mental illness, there's a lot of trial and error when it comes to the medicine. And whenever I finally found that right combination, I met Gracie. So everything kind of worked out to be like that in our life. And as we continued to grow together and get to know each other more, we discovered this shared love of traveling that we had. And what I learned from our travels was that traveling was so good for my mental health. It made me feel good. It made me feel like I was breaking the monotony of everyday life. And that to me was so important. And, with Gracie's support, we were able to really propel my mental illness to or my mental health to the next level with this move. I'll let Gracie tell the story about whenever I first came to her with the idea, but you know, we've really embraced this for all the different things that it comes with, and there's a lot of challenges, but there's a lot of benefits that we've learned from it, and mental health has been a huge one.
Amazing. That's yeah, I totally wanna hear how that came to be because, reading on your website and everything too, and, like, I wanna get deeper into what this actual story is because I see that it was kind of a spur of the moment decision, and I'm just like, first of all, let me say congrats, y'all. That's amazing. Good for you. I don't think I could ever do that. That is so brave and amazing. And I like, yeah, Grace, if you're able to tell us, like, how did that idea come to you? What was your reaction? How did you go forward from there?
So it did start with us talking about traveling a lot more than what we typically did. And so we did start looking into RVs, but it was never something set in stone for us. Well, Tyler, Tyler's very much if you know him, he's very much a go big or go home kind of guy. He always has been since the first day I've met him. And so when he came, I mean, out of the blue, he came to me and he was like, I want to sell the house and I want to travel full time. And I was like, whoa, let's let's calm down first because we're huge family oriented people and both of our families live down here. And I mean, when I tell you huge family, I'm talking all the holidays, they were either at our house or a mom or dad's house, and we see them almost every week. Like, we see them all the time and we love them. So that's a huge change that I was really, really concerned about. And then I was like, let's sit on it for a month, right? This came around in, I'd say, about January. I said, let's sit on this for about 4 weeks. Let's really talk about it. Let's do some research. And I'd say about a good week passed, and I was like, he just kept talking about it and talking about it, and just all these things started to sound so great. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So we started researching them and just kind of did it. We jumped in, and Tyler took a lot of the reins about finding the RV, about selling the house, that kind of stuff. That's definitely his forte. But I was there to help and kind of be that support system. That's really just a huge thing that I want to be for him. But yeah, and we just jumped in and haven't looked back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible.
That is incredible. So I'm wondering, so you've been on the road for what? It's maybe 6 months now. Is that right? Or how long has it been now?
I think that's
Ye-
about right.
Yeah, that's about right. It was the end of April, so about
Hmm.
almost 5 months.
Okay, got it. Wow. So, what has your experience been so far? Where have you been? What have you learned? I know you have a couple dogs with you too, right?
We do.
Amazing. Yeah. So, what is that? What has it been like since the decision was made?
Um, well, it's been a positive one for the most part. We've definitely run into some things like there's a ton of if you do travel full time and you're listening to this, there's a ton of Facebook groups you can join, which we did, and we've learned a lot from those. But we've had some issues that a lot of RVs have, and one of one of our biggest ones is we actually had to get a new car because we are traveling full time, so we had to have something that we thought would make sense, which is flat towing for us. That was the best option for us. So we did have to go get a new car. That has been a journey. At at one point, we had put the tow bar on and everything, and like, hooked it all up. And halfway down the highway, it one of the tow steel bars had like clipped off and come bent, so the Jeep was like swerving all over the highway. That was a stressful moment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we've had a couple leaks, which RVers are gonna know that's gonna happen. So we've had to deal with that. And Tyler will say it's like owning a boat. That's kind of how it feels. And so it's kind of expensive upkeep, but once you upkeep it, like you're good for a little while. So we've
Mhm.
had some issues with that. Um, but like other than that, it's been pretty straightforward. And we've been to a couple of places. Our favorite place right now is in Mount Airy. Both of my sisters live there. So I have two sisters up there and one sister where I'm at now. And so they live up there and they both actually just had a baby 2 weeks apart. So
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations to your whole
thank
family.
you.
That's exciting.
Mhm. So we just actually came back. We came back this past Saturday from Mount Airy. We stayed up there for a little while, and we stay at the Mayberry Campground, which a lot of people will know is from the Andy Griffith Show. So that's kind of what Mount
Oh,
Airy is based
nice.
off of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we stay there a lot. And then when we first started, we stayed in Myrtle Beach. So we've stayed in our general vicinity. Like 4 hours away is the longest we've been so far. But if you go look on our Facebook page, Tyler actually posted it, and you can actually see our travel starting in 2024, which is huge.
And
Mm.
Regan, you mentioned the pups too, and that is a very fun aspect of our traveling life because without them, I mean, we were honestly more afraid about how they were gonna adjust to this lifestyle than how we were going to adjust to this lifestyle. And I really feel it's so weird because if you ask anybody, these are our kids. I mean, point blank, period. We don't have actual kids, but we have our dogs, and I will fight anybody that they're my kids. So
I
they
hear you on
they are
that.
our priority. Yeah, they are our priority, and they are acting like I don't know. It's they like being so close to us. I think they miss being because we had a big yard in our last house, so I think they miss being able to run around. But we've where we're at now, Lake Town Glamping and Lake Waccamaw is got a very big open space. It's got walking trails and it's got a pond that we can walk around. So I mean, she gets walked and she gets to get out and exercise, but we like to look for those places like Mayberry Campground that have dog parks so we can let her out and let her run. So it's been an adjustment for them to find, where where we're best suited for them as well as us. So it's been fun, but it's also been a challenge, and we've learned that our dogs like to use the bathroom just as much as we do. That is for sure.
Hey, that works out nicely, right? Like, you don't have to feel
Yeah.
bad about making a ton of stops. So the dogs have to stop anyways. We might as well.
We definitely admire you for camping with your dogs or RVing, sorry, because we've both been tent camping, which is a whole different realm with our dogs, and that was absolute chaos. So, hats off to you for being in the RV with them because camping with dogs has not been too good for us.
Yeah. What would be your tips? Like, if you could give 3 tips for this kind of lifestyle with a dog, like, what would that be?
My big thing is making sure that I do walk them every day, and that's because we have energetic dogs. Like they're not
Mm,
small, they're kind of big. So giving them the space to get their energy out is huge for me. And so Tyler and I actually started planning to wake up an hour earlier than we normally do every day to start doing that, then having them on a schedule. So that's big for us, and we also work remotely. So it's a little bit different than us than some people that travel with their dogs,
mm,
because we have the opportunity to just say, all right, well, I'm going to go take the dogs out for 5-10 minutes, and we have that option. So that's probably my biggest tip is just making sure you have the options to go walk them and get their energy out.
mhm. Yeah.
Tyler?
Yeah, I would definitely say the same thing. Making sure you have a consistent schedule. Dogs are very much like people, where consistency is key, and they like to have a scheduled routine. At least our dogs do. So having that schedule and that routine in place to where they're not feeling like things aren't right, making sure that their anxiety is managed well. That's one of the biggest issues we have with Dutch, our oldest dog, is his anxiety. Whenever we drive the RV, he kind of freaks out and he'll just sit in a corner and just kind of sit in a corner the entire trip, and it's really weird, but however he's got to cope with it, and he's always behind the passenger seat, and we'll pet him, but just trying to get a routine and get him used to traveling, especially from a puppy. I think that's a big thing. Is if we had started off with a puppy, it might have been a little bit easier because they were adjusted to it, but I think our dogs have adjusted a little well.
Hmm. I also recommend we had an issue with ants. I learned my lesson, and this may seem like common sense, but it wasn't for me. And I've always just had dog food bags. Like they just came in the bag, kept it in the bag. Please get an airtight container if you have dogs and make sure you keep it like that because otherwise RVs are different and you will get ants.
Great tip.
Yeah, I
Yes.
would not have thought of that either.
Mhm.
Well, even like I moved to Florida, and actually my husband and I started the conversation around the same time. It sounds like you also started the conversation in January. So there was something in the air in January saying we need to make a change. But yeah, same thing. We just got an airtight container because we're now living in Florida, and you gotta manage those bugs.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, what are your goals? So, yeah, we talked before we started recording too about like what your goals are for your 2024 travels. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, and I know our listeners would too. So, what does 2024 look like for you?
Yeah, I'll 2024 is going to be really exciting for us. We're looking forward to exploring more. We're going to start off in South Carolina, go to Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, then up to, we'll be in Colorado for a month, and then coming back towards the North Midwest, and circling back around eventually to North Carolina. So we'll be out of North Carolina and on the road for 10 months in 2024. We're also really looking forward to, we have a publishing company. That's one of the businesses that we own, and we're looking for some more book festivals on the road that we can go to, or just local events, craft fairs, things like that that are going to be in these small towns when we go, so we can set up and sell books and get our name out there in front of all these different communities that we aren't able to now. So it's a really good thing for our business too.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Newsly is an all in one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. The entire web becomes listenable for the first time, all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling and start listening. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin, or even the Kardashians. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. And the best part, they have podcasts. Explore trending podcasts from over 80 countries. You can even find us there. I started using it as my default podcast app. They even have a digital radio. Download and use Newsly for free now at www.newsly.me or from the link in the description, and use promo code WIVES. That's WIVES. And you can get a 1-month free premium subscription. You can find all this information in our description from this episode. And now back to our episode.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So, working remotely, I also work remotely, but I'm in one place. So, working remotely when you travel, what does that look like for you? How does that work?
So, first things first is a huge thing for both of us is Wi-Fi. And a lot of campgrounds have it, but when you have kind of where we're at now, which is it's kind of in the woods. There's not a ton of people yet. He's building it, which is great. But we also have stayed at more of those commercialized RV parks, like the one in Myrtle Beach. Most people have heard it if they are from South Carolina and do RVs. It's Ocean Lakes.
I love that place.
So, Ocean Lakes was great for us to visit to see what it was like. It's not our style, but you were also, what would you say, maybe 5, 10 feet away from the next RV. So that was kind of our issue as far as Wi-Fi goes. It's not the best signal when there's a ton of people using it. So we wanted to have options. So that was one of our biggest things before getting started in the RV is we need options for our Wi-Fi. We can't just not have it because of work. So we have like 5 different options. We have extenders, boosters, all that fun stuff. So we had to kind of look into that. But our big one is Starlink. Um, and that hasn't really failed us yet unless you do not have a clear sky. Then there's an issue. So, that's kind of been one of the big things working remotely. And then we also talked about it, which we haven't had to worry about it yet, but we will, is our time zones.
Mm.
So I actually work for a school in Central Time, so it's in Alabama. So once I kind of work Eastern Time now, obviously, but when I get to Central Time, I'll be on their time zone, and then Colorado is a different time zone. So we've kind of talked about that, and we're actually kind of looking forward to it though, because yeah, we'll have to wake up earlier, but for us, we'll get off early, and so we can actually go and visit more places instead of it being 5:30. It can be like 3:30, which is super nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. My gosh. So you work for a school. What do you do for the school? Because I work for a school and Allie's a teacher. So
Oh, cool. So I work for a college in Alabama, and I've been in admissions for quite a few years now. But I actually just help these students enroll, get started, help with financial aid. All the funky stuff that you kind of don't know how to do if you're an online student. You kind of just need that assistance. So that's kind of what I do. Is I'm just that support system, that application person to help.
yeah. And Tyler, what about you? I know author, communications expert, all of the things. What do you find yourself doing on the road any given day working remotely?
That's a good question because no day looks the same. I do have a day job, which is a marketing communications. I'm under an NDA for that one, so I can't speak too much about what I do with that one, but it is a marketing and communications job. So it's still doing what I love to do. But, between that, I also write the blogs for Adventure with Coffee. I write blogs for TylerWittkofsky.com. I'm working on my own books. I've got a book called The Principles coming out in 2024. It's based on my grandma, who was the
That's
first
amazing. I don't know how I even have time to be
female
on this
in a
podcast right now,
rural
so we
community in the
appreciate your
South
time
in the
so much
late
more now that you
80s.
just
So
listed all of
it
those
shows
things
Wow.
her
that you
journey
do.
and how she
That's
overcame
incredible.
adversity. Yeah, she's been my biggest inspiration. So being able to do that for her is super important for me. But I also run the day-to-day operations of Tea with Coffee Media and the Wittkofsky Company. The Wittkofsky Company is a nonprofit digital marketing and communications company. So we specifically are tailored to helping nonprofits achieve their increased event participation, increased membership, increased donations, whatever they may be looking for. That's our specialty. I've been actually working for nonprofits since 2017, so going on 7 years now. And I've always had fun doing that. That's always been one of my biggest motivators in life is to make a difference. So being able to do that through the Wittkofsky Company and Tea with Coffee Media and my writing is super important.
Yeah, so that's incredible. And also on the road, I hear that we have some foodies and some beer lovers in the house. Is that true?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Um,
Amazing.
we definitely like to, and I've told Tyler this 1,000 times. I love our families and I love when we visit, but nobody understands the food that we like to go eat. It's like we match each other's energies when it comes to that, and we like to go try the weird stuff that nobody else really likes to try. So we kind of try to find these local places are huge for us when we go. And Tyler actually really has heavily gotten into coffee recently, and that's kind of been I like the fancy stuff. Like I'm not a black coffee drinker like he is. So now that he's into it like heavily now, like it'll be hopefully a lot of like local beers, local coffee shops, local food shops. So that'll be fun.
Oh man. I think if I were in an RV, that would be my favorite part of what you're doing. That sounds amazing. Okay, so when you say weird stuff, what does that mean?
Like I don't know if this is necessarily weird anymore, but like our family is big against calamari because they hear squid and they're like, "Oh, I'm not eating squid." I've also tried octopus. So that's the kind of, whenever it comes to seafood and animal meat, we're carnivores all day long, so we like trying all the different meats. I mean, our
Yeah,
meals
I
pretty
know
much
from my
consist
past
of
experiences
a
with
protein
traveling, I feel
and
like that's when
maybe a
I'm the most
green, but
adventurous
mainly a
with food
protein.
because I'm not
So
very adventurous
we
eater. So have
really
you found
enjoy
that now that you're in the
branching
RV, you're more
out and
willing to
trying all these
try
different
different things,
exotic,
or that's just kind of been your
legal
lifestyle and it's not necessarily a result of
exotic
the
animals,
RV?
because we don't eat anything that's not legal. Just a disclaimer.
Yeah. And we always try to find too, especially with tea with coffee, um, the authors and the board members, people live in all these different states. So I love asking people like, "Hey, you're local there. What's good to eat?" Because you never know until you actually get there. So we try to ask people that we know that live there too, about kind of their favorite places and what you can't really find per se like on Google if you look it up.
Yeah. Google has a lot, but like it's those local options, like the
Mhm.
best Mexican food or whatever it is that you're looking for, the locals are going to know. So that's great that you have those connections. That's such a good hookup.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Gracie has never been big into trying food until I met her. She used to hate all kinds of foods, and then the only food that I don't eat that I know of is tomatoes. So I would always get stuff knowing that it was something that she didn't like, and I would make her try it until eventually she started liking everything. So for the past probably 5 year, we've been together for 8 years, so I'd probably say the past 5 years we've both been very exploratory whenever it comes to food. I think once we hit the road and actually get traveling across the United States, that's going to change, and we're going to get a lot more exploratory with food and just experiment. And Gracie doesn't know it yet, but we're going to eat bugs.
No, we're
Oh,
not.
shoot. Breaking news here on the Wanderlusting Wives podcast.
No, we're not.
Oh,
You don't
goodness.
have to
Well, good
know.
luck. Report back, please.
Mm, I won't have anything to report. I'm not eating a bug.
I'm with you, I think, Grace. Yeah.
I don't need to. I don't need to. I can find something else. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Steak is good. Just steak
Exactly.
there. Yeah, yeah. What have you found are like the best things you've eaten in your travels?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's hard.
You
Um,
know,
Go ahead.
you know, oh gosh, where was it that we just went in Winston Salem? What was the name of that restaurant? Firebird.
Firebirds.
What kind of food was
Yes,
this?
Firebirds. Wood fired grill. So they had like steaks and like fry corn on the cob, all kinds of like. We got the steak. That's what made me think of it, because you said steak, and then I was like, man, I really want a steak from Firebirds now. So I think because it's recent and now I want a steak. Thanks a lot. Now
You're
it's going to be
welcome.
Firebirds. Now that I'm so far away from it.
Oh no. Good thing
Yeah,
Grubhub and
we
DoorDash
get that.
exist, you
We're
know, like
not from New York
Seamless, all
City,
of
but
these
we're from
things.
New
You
York
never know what
State,
could happen.
so we understand the
That's
pizza
true. That's true.
Amazing.
for
And
sure.
a big thing we like is street corn because
Mm.
everybody makes it different. So anytime we go somewhere new, if it's like a Mexican restaurant or something like that, and they have it, we will try it. I still, and I'm picky about it, but I still haven't found a better place than the place we have here in Leland. So that's kind of sad.
Wow.
But I'm sure once we start visiting other places, like it'll change. And I also told Tyler he's been to Chicago before, but I haven't. And he has his opinion on their pizza, but I want to try it. I just want to say that I've had it and see how good it is. So pizza's kind of, I know that's like normal to eat, but everybody like your different places make it differently. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to like say, oh, well, I've eaten pizza there and it's so different versus here, that kind of thing.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
just like a pizza cake.
Oh,
See?
I also understand that now that I'm in Florida, going out of my way to get Chicago deep dish pizza. So that's my opinion on it, is that I love it. But yeah, it's different everywhere. Detroit, that's the only other one I can name right now. But yeah, just here's a few. Amazing. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. I have thoroughly enjoyed our time. I don't know where the time went, honestly. I looked up at the clock and it's 30 minutes and it's just been so great. So, thank you both for coming
I think
on. Is
that's
there
it.
anything
Thank you
else that
both
you
so
want to
much for
share
your
with
time.
us
Like I
and our
said, I
listeners
know how
before we
valuable
sign
your
off for
time
today?
is, so I really appreciate taking time out of your
I'm a
busy
big
lives
believer
to
in
chat
doing
with
what you
us,
want
and
to
I'm
do.
sure our
So
listeners
if
are
you're
going
listening
to
to this
love to
and
hear
you want to
what
travel
you all
full
had to
time,
say.
do it. Jump, head in, and just say that you're going to do it and do it.
I think for me, I just want people to know that you're not alone. Um, that's one thing that I struggled with my mental illness, was thinking that I was alone, even though I was surrounded by people like my wife Grace, who love me and care about me. Just try to focus on the people that are around you, that are reaching their hands down to help you up when you get knocked down. And if you need a hand, or you need a shoulder to cry on, or somebody to talk to, find me on social media. I'm at Tyler Wittkofsky anywhere, and you are more than welcome to message me, and I will be here to listen and talk.
Amazing. I love that so much. Thank you both for your inspiration, honestly, on today's podcast, and for just your transparency and honesty and sharing your journeys. So thanks. Allie, anything from you before we sign off?
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. Come escape with us again every other Tuesday for Travel Tuesdays and every other Wednesday for Wildcard Wednesdays.
Don't forget to give us a subscribe and a follow on all of our social media and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, wander on.